And we're back with week 3 power rankings. I know it's kind of late, but I've been doing other stuff other than YouTube for a little while. I've been uploading Goalie Junior plays. Just Goalie Junior a lot because I just not been interested. Maybe I'll get Rebirth and I'll start doing the Minecraft and the Madden, maybe even a new Let's Play. But right now, I'm going to try to focus on NFL season, especially because it's so early. This is, the best time to be doing it. So, let's get into my Week 3 updated power rankings. So, here's the list. I'm going to explain every change, at least briefly. Now, we're going to skip the first 4 because they all lost, and I still don't see a reason to put any of them over the other ones. First change is the Patriots. I dropped them by 3. I know they lost. Who did they lose to? They lost to the Eagles week 1. Then this week they lost to the Dolphins. It's not the. I know they're making the games close, but they don't look like a team that can stop a team consistently or score consistently. And then Mac Jones isn't that good. They lost Damian Harris, which leaves Ramondre Stevenson by himself. No wide receivers. I dropped them also because they're 0-2, and I'm not going to keep any 0-2 teams too high, especially if I already didn't expect them to be very good this season. Colts move up by 1. They had a decent win against the Texans. But your first 2 games against the Jags and the Texans, sure, the Jags are decent. The Texans, I'm not surprised that they beat them. They move up 1 just because the Patriots dropped behind them. Bears dropped down by 4. I only dropped them down a little bit after losing to the Packers by a bunch. But then they lose to the Bucks by double digits too. And I just okay, I cannot keep you guys high anymore. You're clearly not going to be a good team this season. It's pretty simple. If you go 0-2, you're dropping spots. Giants move up by 2. Now, I know they only beat the Cardinals, but I like how you can see the old Giants, the old 9-8 or something Giants from last season in that win, especially in the second half. So I think we still have some hope. And this ranking might go back to 27 if Saquon doesn't play for too long. Next is the Raiders. I dropped them by 7. They got blown out by the Bills. Now, if you're going to be a decent team, I already didn't know about you being at 17 after barely beating the Broncos, who I have at 29. But you get blown out by the Bills, who just lost to the Jets. I know the Bills are good, but you only put 10 points. Your offense is looking absolutely terrible right now. I don't think there's any reason why I should keep you high when I don't think your offense is very good or your defense is very good. Next are the Vikings. They dropped 3 spots after another loss. I'm sorry, 0-2. They just look like they're the mistake-making machine out here. It's just not good for them. The only reason they didn't drop more is because they've been keeping their games close. Now, I could definitely see them winning more than they lose this season. But if they continue having tough defensive teams like they had against the Buccaneers and the Eagles who forced turnovers, then they might just continue this losing streak. Titans move up by 4 after beating the Chargers. I did not know their offense had such potency. They could still be a decent team despite losing to the Saints, who actually have ranked decently high, so it makes sense that they didn't drop too far. If they could continue their offense being weirdly explosive against the Chargers and if their defense can keep teams in check, they could move up to around the 15th spot by the end of this season, maybe sneak into the playoffs. Bengals, they dropped by 2. Now, this one is a lot of a better loss because they only lost against the Ravens, but Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase not looking like they're worth the money. Now, I could definitely see them somehow doing what they did last year, start winning a lot, make it to the playoffs with a good record. They could definitely do that. But this one, for now, especially since my first power rankings, if I see a team playing bad, they're going to drop. And until I see any flashes of the elite offense that we saw last year, the Bengals are going to continue to be dropped down the rankings. Steelers just barely move in front of them, moving up by 4 after defeating the Cleveland Browns. While it wasn't the prettiest win for their offense, it proved to me that their defense is still explosive, especially when they're not going against a team named the San Francisco 49ers. I think they deserve a higher ranking than I put them in. They just got beat by the better team. I think it's that simple. And now another AFC North team. The Browns fall by 8 Now, I thought they might be really good. The reason I dropped them so far is because I realized their only win is against a Bengals team that doesn't look that good, and their losses against a Steelers team that also doesn't look that good. They might just not be that good. That's why I dropped them down so far. I think I overrated them with that, moving them up to 11 just because they beat the Bengals who aren't that good, which is why I kind of put them back to where they used to be at 19. 18 is the Chargers. I don't think you have to click the Pamo button yet if you're the Chargers. But I do think that you need to worry about this defense. With Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, Asante Samuel, J.C. Jackson, you guys should not be 0-2 and putting up, allowing teams to get over 25 points every game. That should not be happening. Their offense still looks good. Austin Ekeler looks great. Did he even play last week? I don't remember. But I know he did good in week 1. So, right now I'm going to put them near the middle of the pack, seeing if they could get a big win next week to change all of this bad looks that they're having. Number 17 is the Packers, who dropped by 4. I had them over the Falcons. Falcons beat them. One thing I am worried about after this game is how they put up 7 yards in the fourth quarter. I don't care if your best running back is out and your 2 good offensive linemen are out. You still have Jordan Love, who's apparently the greatest quarterback since Aaron Rodgers. And then you still have a good offensive line. And you still have A.J. Dillon, who did good last week. Or decent, whatever. And then your receiving core, who did amazing last week. There's no excuse to be putting up 7 yards in a quarter. The game dropped until they can remedy that. Seahawks blew up by 7. Probably was a little bit harsh to move them down to 23. Especially because the Rams might be decent this year. They beat the Lions, which makes me think they could definitely still be a playoff team. Especially because I think the Lions will also be a playoff team. Probably just a good game between 2 good teams. So, Seahawks move up into the playoff range. Commanders move up by 6. Almost purely because they're 2-0. And also they came out against the Broncos and the Cardinals. I'm pretty sure they're losing against both of those teams late. But the Cardinals do have some potential with Sam Howell and the crew. I'm not going to move them any higher than this just because I think every team in front of them could easily beat them at any given week. So I'm not really tempted to move them any more forward. In fact, I could see you moving them back to 18, but I can't put a 2-0 team outside of the top 16. Rams stay at 14 because they lost as I expected them to. They did make it a little bit close, which is almost worth ranking up, but I wasn't willing to put them up over this 2-0 team, the Saints. Even though they barely beat the Panthers and they barely beat the Titans, who I don't think either of those teams are top 20 teams right now, I do think the Saints have shown some defensive prowess, and I do think that their offense is absolutely garbage, which is why I'm not moving them up any higher. Their offense was good. Yeah, I would probably put them in the top 10, but I think the NFC South opponents, Saints and Bucks and Falcons both have better offenses, which is a big part of the NFL, Next, I'm going to do these next 3 all beside each other. Jets, Jags, Lions. Each of them had big wins last week. Jaguars slightly less. And losing to a good team this week. It's just them falling out of the top 10. Except for the Lions. They stayed in. But they fell on 4 spots each because I realized, some of these teams are 2-0. And the teams that aren't 2-0, we know are good anyway. Speaking of teams that are 2-0, Falcons and Bucks both move up by 7. Because I wasn't really sure if they were going to be able to pull out the win against their 2 teams. Because the Bears are dangerous when they can get their offense going. And the Packers have Jordan Love, who looks really good right now. So seeing them both win is giving me the chance to move them both up into the top 10. I already said that these 2 teams were in the same division are the most underrated teams in the league. Nobody wanted to believe me. Everybody was saying that the Bucks will win 4-5 games this season. I think that was absurd. At least the Falcons are saying maybe we can get 8, and I think they're going to get 10. But moving them into the top 10 because their offense looks good, and both teams' offense and defense looks good right now. Bucks slightly less offense, which is why I have the Falcons slightly above. Both of these teams have some things that they need to prove, though, which is why they can't go up any higher than the Chiefs and Bills, who I'm grouping into the same spot as well. Teams that lost in week 1 in close matchups, and then came back this week and won. Now, the Chiefs blew up by 2, not because I think their Jags win was especially good, because I feel like they should have still been ranked around the 7th spot, even though they lost to the Lions. Since the Lions were 6, Chiefs could have easily been 7. That's a mistake on my part. Bills beat the crap out of the Raiders, who were 1-0. A great win for them. That's pretty much the main reason moving them up. It was a great win that makes you remember, oh yeah, Josh Allen is a good quarterback. Top 5. Dolphins and Ravens stay in the same spot. Both barely beat division rivals by a little bit, but I can still see the good in those teams, which is why I'm not moving them down. Eagles moved down by 1 by the Cowboys. I'm putting them ahead for now. These are power rankings, not we know the Cowboys are probably going to choke in the playoffs rankings. So, the Cowboys, we know probably aren't going to do much in the playoffs. They've been doing really good in the regular season, which is making me think, well, in my rankings, they've beaten the Giants and the Jets. The Giants are only 25. The Jets are 12. I think if you beat a 12th-ranked team by that much, you deserve to be moved up over the Eagles, who've had close games against the Vikings and the Patriots. Number 1, still 49ers. Numbers say here they had a good win against the Rams, who I think are a good team. And that's pretty much it. They just had a good win, and I didn't get beats out the Cowboys because I feel like the Cowboys will not be able to retain their momentum like the 49ers will. Well, that's a lot of talking, but this episode ends around the 11.5 mark. See you guys next time. Maybe a mock draft? We'll see. Or maybe a quick game review of Thursday Night Football. Number 25 for me, Giants, versus number 1, 49ers. Can the Giants pull off the upset? Maybe. See you guys next time. Adios.